we kind of want to do a little twist on something that you've probably already learned about. I think I learned about Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs back in 8th grade. When did you learn about it?
I learned about it going to college to be a teacher.
Yeah. I think I've relearned about it every time I had a psychology class, too, in college, in high school.
Yeah, and we've been able to fit it into sort of a couple of different pieces of our lives, including sort of our prosperity.
So today, we kind of wanted to look at the facet of finances with Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs. And it's not just for developmental, behavioral, motivational psychology. It has really helped me to better understand myself and others.
That helps you build a framework for like making goals, for your mental health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you ready to go through the levels?
Should we start at the top and work our way down, or should we start at the bottom, work our way up?
We should start at the bottom because he talks about how in someone's life they have to start at the bottom and work their way up, and they can't fully achieve a higher level until they've achieved the lower levels. And so we want to start at the bottom because then we know if we've achieved the bottom to be able to move up. We also want to answer the question of how does this even relate to financial health?
Down at the base of the pyramid, where you need to start, is all of those physical needs, like making sure that you have enough food and water to survive. It's very much those kind of basic necessities. A little higher then we get into your safety, right? Do you have a roof over your head and a place to call your own?
So those two levels are your basic physical needs. But what does that have to do with money? What does that have to do with our financial health? The first one is your just very, very basic needs, like food and water.
The physical stuff you need to survive.
Right. So in finances, that's like being able to pay your basic bills.
Like, can you afford rent?
Yeah. And if you can't afford those basic bills, you are in so much stress.
Someone that's swimming that can't even tread water, drowning is a scary prospect.
Yeah, and that's all of your financial basics too. That's all of your bills. That's your rent. That's your food.
Being able to afford a place to live.
Right. Yeah. I remember when your hours got cut and you had a huge drop in pay because of the drop in hours, and all of a sudden our pretty normal mortgage was 70% of our income.
That's a dangerous place to be financially.
Yeah, that was so scary. And when that happened, we immediately dropped down to this just bare bones
survival
level.
Only.
Yeah.
Sure was great when after I got my master's though, huh?
Right, and that was that amount that you got paid extra
as a raise
for your master's. It equaled the exact amount that you lost
pretty much exactly
from that pay cut, which was pretty amazing. Setting those goals to get that master's helped us come out of that level 1. And I think that's how I want to look at this hierarchy financially. I want to look at it like, oh, I can pull out of this rut of being stuck in this level because I recognize that it is a level, and I can bring myself to this next level by just creating the right set of goals. Okay, so the next level is safety, and Kirk mentioned that level already. So how would that be financial?
So in Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs, that's like making sure you have a roof over your head and you are secure, like you're safe, you're not in a bad area, or things like that. You have a good home to call your own. The financial aspect of that would be making sure that those kind of basic preparedness things are ready, for if there was something that had to happen.
Yeah, like 2 weeks of pantry items in case you get stuck at home from a quarantine or something.
Does that happen to anybody?
Or like if your power goes out. I know we lost power a few months ago, and we were lucky it was only out for a few hours. Our neighbors lost power for a few days.
Oh my goodness.
They had so much food go bad and
Yep.
stuff because they weren't ready for that. With safety, a lot of times financially, beyond that, we're also looking at goals financially that protect you from things that you could never plan for. Insurance protects you from things that you don't even know are going to happen. Life insurance protects your family, but there's health insurance that protects us from a catastrophic event that knocks us out financially because of our health.
Sure, medical insurance, car insurance,
Yeah,
homeowners
yeah.
insurance, or renter's insurance, the whole thing.
All of those are the financial side of safety. I think it's really interesting, like, to look at the different goals and look at which level they are on this hierarchy.
In the second level, you're feeling pretty lucky to have at least a little bit of an umbrella. Just in case. As you go through the levels, you know, the safety, the security, and kind of, you know, well-being gets better and better. Can you improve on any of these levels? All of them? Of course you can.
Yeah. And even once you get to a next level, you'll start thinking of other ways to get to another level of strength within that area.
And the ones below it, too.
Yeah. I feel like it's a lot easier to help the levels below when you're up above, but at the same time, you've kind of got to give yourself at least a little bit of a good foundation in order to get to those higher levels.
Yeah. Once you're at a higher level, you can kind of take a sigh of relief a little bit, and you go, okay, let's reassess the ones down below a little better. The third and fourth steps of Maslow's hierarchy of needs have to do with your social and psychological needs. For example, step 3 on the pyramid, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, is to better your relationships, the love in your life. The fourth step in Maslow's hierarchy of needs is having to do with your view, or really like your view of the way other people view you, like your self-esteem, but more like your esteem in general, like striving for honor of others and the recognition of other people and kind of climbing the social ladder.
Yeah, making a name for yourself. Let's look at how the finances relate to these two areas. Okay, so belonging and love needs, that doesn't really sound financial to me at first. But really, there is a financial element to it. Because if you want to take your significant other out to dinner, that costs money. If you want to buy them flowers or something, that also costs money.
When you're worrying where rent is going to come from, the last thing on your mind is buying flowers.
Right. And in fact, if you're worried about where rent is coming from, they might get mad at you for buying flowers and wasting the money they needed for that lower level of just basic sanity.
What? You spent that money?
Right. For example, if a couple were not to have enough money for food and the wife were to say, why don't you ever give me enough money for groceries? And so then for her birthday, the guy goes and buys just like a big bag of potatoes and is like, I know that we don't have enough money to do anything big, and you said you wanted money for groceries, so here's a bag of potatoes for your birthday. That would satisfy her need for groceries, which is the first level, but it would make her completely feel unloved.
It sure would come off the wrong way in terms of the love and esteem.
Right? So she wouldn't feel loved at all from those potatoes, but it would satisfy the first need. Some things that we do actually satisfy more than one of these levels, and then other things only satisfy one level. And I think maybe if he were to get creative in that situation, like
Arrange them in a heart.
Yeah.
Put them in a basket or something.
Maybe if he were to go pick some wildflowers or something, and then bring them in, arrange them in the heart on the counter with flowers all through it, or flowers like on the outside, and then give like a cute little love note. That would satisfy both, I think, in some ways, depending on the relationship, of course.
Maybe I'll buy you 10 pounds of potatoes and put them in a basket and see what you think.
When we were first married, we had very little coming in, though. And when we were first married, I probably would have really enjoyed that. It would have been a cute, weird thing to do. But I don't know if I'd enjoy it as much now that I have an okay budget for food and I don't need you to do that.
A little stronger basis. That foundation is more in place.
Yeah. When the foundation isn't as well set, then you kind of have to get creative, though. When you don't have enough money coming in, you really have to find ways around getting what you need emotionally with the amount of finances that you have coming in. It is possible. It's always possible. Just like with health, it's possible to have good health and not give up what you love most.
I do also think it's true, though, that being in the struggle for those kind of basic necessities over time has really helped us be frugal and like appreciate money. So as we have gotten better means in our life and in our finances, even now we're like, let's be smart about the way that we buy things. We don't just go out and buy anything. We're really smart about what we buy.
But at the same time, we had a lot of moments where we skipped the hierarchy in our goals, and that put us back quite a bit.
Yeah, true.
On our little way to success.
As fun as it sounds to save like a 6-month fund or something,
man.
Boy, that puts you back if you don't have the lower things in place first.
We never saved money when we were first married. We were awful with money. Now I'm like, okay, we need to figure this out financially. We need to actually like have a plan. But back then it was like, do we want to go out to eat? Sure. Do we need a budget? Probably. But we haven't ever really done a good job at it, so we'll figure it out later. Which was really bad for us. Yeah. It put us back pretty far. We have worked our way out of that hole, and now we kind of understand a lot more. We understand more of what finances are. We understand why we want to save. Like, there's a purpose. We didn't have a purpose back then. All we had was, there's money. What are we going to do with that?
Spend
it. Right. We would skip the safety section. Yeah. Back when we were first married, we would make sure that our basic needs were covered, but then we wouldn't make sure that any of our safety was covered. Just our main bills and stuff. And then we'd jump to the love and belonging section and make sure that we had the ability to spend a little bit on each other. We didn't have a ton coming in, so it's not like we could spend that much on that. And then we did a few things in the esteem section, just like, I want to do this, or I want to be this. And in some cases that worked out, like what we spent on school, that was good because Kirk got a job related to what he went to school for.
Basically investing in yourself, investing in your future.
Yeah. For the esteem portion, that's a little different because honestly, a lot of the esteem portion shouldn't be financial, even though it can be. So what I mean by that is really the esteem portion is coming up with goals to prove your worth almost to society, building honor for your name, for your family's name. And you can get those things without spending money, but you can also improve your chances at getting some of that with financial goals too. So it's a little bit of an interesting one to look at financially, I would say.
You can still be humble in this area. We're getting to the point in the rungs where we can leave a legacy, almost, right? The very top is
Right.
the, kind of the pinnacle of all of that.
Right.
But it's not to say that we need to just be like, flaunting our money or anything.
Right.
But as you get higher up in these,
Right.
there are more things inward, and there are more things kind of outward towards other people too.
So in a more worldly aspect, this could be keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
It could be, oh, they got a motorcycle. They need to see that I got a motorcycle. I better go get one.
We've seen people fall apart with that. Yeah.
Yeah. You can go into a lot of debt trying to keep up with your neighbors.
We just typically aren't the Joneses type.
No, we're not.
and so sometimes, depending on where we've lived, it's sort of driven our neighbors crazy. Like, come on, I bought a nice car. You buy a nice car too. I have a nice utilitarian car. I'm good, thanks though.
Our goals are very much personalized to how we want our family life to look, and have very little to do with what our neighbors are doing for their family life.
Yeah, we really just don't play the Joneses game.
No, we never have. So some of the ways that you can build up this esteem level without finances include improving your position at work. So an example could be they've got all of their finances worked out. They can cover their rent plus some and their bills, and maybe it's not millions, but they've got plenty coming in to cover everything that they need. They've got enough to cover their safety nets, and that includes emergency funds and insurance and all of that. And they also feel loved. They've got tons of friends at work. They've got tons of friends at home, like in their neighborhood, friends they can call. But then at work, they're going, I have all of this at home. I need to keep improving my life. What else can I do? Oh, I know what I can do. I can improve my position at work. So that's often when people will start climbing the work ladder, or climbing the ladder of self-development and
networking.
Yeah, and
getting
networking.
to know people that are higher up and are beneficial relationships.
This is when someone is going to try for that leadership position, because they want to be a leader. They probably wouldn't have that desire to be a leader if they were concerned about their safety, or if they were concerned about their ability to pay their bills. They wouldn't have the mental capacity to deal with the problems that you have to deal with as a leader if they were worried about bills. Yeah. It's very uncommon for someone to be a true leader if they are so worried about bills. And that's often part of the reason why leaders are paid more too, because they have that mental capacity to lead, and people see that mental capacity in their work, and so they are able to be paid more because they are showing that level of ability. Yeah. The key here is they got to that level of ability because they worked past those other levels first. So if we all get past those first levels, then potentially we all could get to the point where we have the capacity and abilities to lead.
Absolutely.
Or just like within the family unit, if you feel like you're falling apart with your safety and not being able to pay bills and stuff, it's really hard to focus on helping your kids with their homework.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's a great thought. The highest rung of Maslow's hierarchy of needs is self-actualization. This is sort of the pinnacle. You're looking mostly outward at sort of the progression that you can make. You're looking at maybe making a difference in the world. This has to do with charitable giving and basically leaving a legacy for the people after you.
And this is the spot where we truly find our self-fulfillment. It's where we find our greatest happiness. It's also the area that you're going to feel, if you are a religious person, where you're going to feel more connected to the Lord. You are most likely to feel that strongest when you are in the self-actualization portion of this hierarchy of needs.
And you don't necessarily need to have tons and tons of money either. Sometimes people think, oh, well, if I was a millionaire, then I'd make it. I'd be at the top, right? Well, there are a lot of things, first off, that need to go along the way, but you can be happy. You can find self-worth. You can find self-actualization, even making, not necessarily minimum wage, but finding just a financial abundance, right? I think that's a great word for it. Once you find abundance, then you can find self-actualization in a financial way.
Well, and a lot of this is mental. Really, when you bring that mental state into your finances, you're looking at making sure you hit all of those things, but not necessarily a specific number in each of those areas. You want to hit all of your mental needs for each of those areas with what you have. Live within your means, but hit those areas within your means.
And don't necessarily apply a dollar value to those check boxes.
Right. So if you don't have enough for all of your bills, you can still fulfill that bill's portion by making changes in what bills you're going to need to pay. You may have to go rent at a different place or sell your house and get one that's cheaper, or you may just need to cancel all of your subscriptions and then you're fine. We still don't do subscriptions because they're too easy to get out of hand. YNAB is one of our very few subscriptions.
And it has saved our tails
It has.
a lot.
It has. We started really making progress on this chart when we started using YNAB. I don't pay it monthly. I can't. Because if it's a monthly bill, then it's too much for me to keep track of monthly. And I know that I would let other things in monthly. It has to be a yearly subscription that I can cancel for the next year if I need to. But I know what I spent and I don't have to worry about it every month.
We do have a couple of subscriptions. The water bill, the sewer bill, the mortgage. You do also have to realize that sometimes you'll focus on higher needs. Sometimes you'll need to bump back down the steps a little bit. For example, if you had the quarantine, or if there was a job loss or things, different phases of life will really
They'll shake you off the top.
They'll humble you a little bit, right? Yeah. It's like, okay, this works really good on paper, in theory this is all wonderful, but then, when something really hits the fan, suddenly it becomes a whole lot more real. And there's some anxiety to it, and it's like the nervous jitters and stuff going from one place to another in these levels.
With the quarantine, our kids got knocked down on this hierarchy really bad.
Yeah, and we really did have to focus on our survival and coping skills and our social emotional.
Yeah, they still wake up and are like, "Are we safe?"
Yeah.
Because it scared them so bad to have so many people getting sick from COVID.
Yeah, a lot of things went wrong, and that really kind of shakes your foundation a little bit.
Yeah.
A lot. Down at the bottom rungs, like the physical needs and the safety needs, oftentimes it is a place of anxiety because it is like survival,
Oh, yeah.
And there is also this sort of lack of willpower,
Oh, yeah.
When you're at the bottom, it almost seems like the things that you could spend money on become you mistake the things that are physical needs or physical wants with maybe this means something more on an emotional level, right? But it's really just sort of a physical, tangible thing.
One of the articles that I read that was going over a study on Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs talked about how a lot of times what they were seeing in marriages was the people in the marriage who with specifically two income families, they kept confusing those physical needs, those basic physical needs, for social needs. So they would think, oh, love and affection is what is kind of missing in my relationship, and I want to improve that so that I can keep going up the ladder, and I have a little bit up higher than that, but I just can't seem to get further because I'm struggling in my relationship. Well, so they would start buying presents for each other more, but really things, presents, those are more on the physical level. So that's the bottom two levels. What they really need is one higher than that, and that is a social level, not a physical level. So even though there are financial things that they can do, and physical things that they could implement in there, that's not a physical area. So if you're giving a gift but not spending time together, they are not going to feel that love, even if you spent a fortune on them. I know that's not financial per se, but it's related to finances because they're spending extra money for no reason.
Often with less willpower, too.
Yeah. The stressors cause them to spend more.
Yeah. Looking at it the other way, I would also say, if you wanted to climb these steps, if you wanted to go up the levels, it does require more willpower, right? Mm-hmm. If you want to save money, that requires willpower to not blow it on fast food and things like that, right. the latest and greatest iPhone or things like that, like the survival needs, and then you work on the safety needs and things like that. That requires some willpower to make it from one step to another.
Yeah, but when you drop levels, you're automatically going into a mental state where it is very difficult to have willpower to avoid fast food. It's very difficult to control these different elements within your life. And when you're on a higher level, it's a much easier place to have that self-control. So when something is pulled out from under you, like a cut in hours or something, all of a sudden you go back to this other level and you feel like you're just surviving. When you're just surviving, there's just not as much ability to think through all of those things. Even if you are a very well-controlled person, even if you typically have a lot of willpower, a lot of your willpower will be crushed. So that's a good thing to realize, because when you consciously know that your willpower was crushed because of that, you can go, no, I am on Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs right here. All I need to do is make a goal to get here. And that puts the willpower back into place because it is within your control, even though it doesn't feel like it because it's an outside thing that maybe happened. So on the bottom, people do have less self-control for all of these areas, for finances, for
controlling their diet.
Yeah, for controlling their diet. Also, just simply putting in the effort to help their spouse feel loved is harder. The willpower of keeping that relationship strong really is a struggle when you're on these lower rungs. The greatest sense of satisfaction comes from the very top. And I think that's just kind of an obvious statement, but there you have it. That's the truth. It's at the top. That's where we want to get.
So when you reach that self-actualization, it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy, but the financially well-off are at the top, and those who find the top are financially well-off.
This is not just something that we came up with. They have actually found this in studies, that people who are in that phase of Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs studies
find self-actualization.
Those are the most financially secure people in the world.
Yeah, abundance. They find abundance.
Right. They find abundance, and they find their inner purpose for living. They find a lot up there. That's really where you need to be to feel your inner purpose fully. And that is not a financial place at all. You can use finances in that place, but it is not a financial place to be. It's where you feel fully satisfied and you feel like you are doing your mission in life. Sometimes you use money to fulfill your mission to a higher degree, like giving to charities and stuff.
Leaving a legacy after you.
Yeah, or starting charities. Some people start charities. So it's really the legacy stage and finding true fulfillment in your purpose in life. And that does not necessarily take money, although the stages before determine kind of whether you have the mental clarity to be in that space. The other thing about that space is someone in that space, even if they are really well off, they can be pulled down to the bottom in an instant. And this isn't a good thing. Like, it really bothers me when people want someone to fall down from that higher place just because they make more money than them. It is not a good mental space for anyone to be in, and we shouldn't wish that on anyone, to fall into that first area. We want to be pulling people out of that and supporting each other. We want everyone to have a purpose in this life so that we can all help each other to grow. No one should be tearing each other down. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, the jealousy and envy, it doesn't help anybody.
All in all, I think what we learn here is that your goal should be to control your money so that it can't control you.
I also learned here that understanding the hierarchy of needs and understanding kind of where we fit on the hierarchy of needs kind of gives you more perspective.
Yeah.
In kind of taking control,
overcoming
the willpower issues and stuff, and really becoming working on the road to self-actualization.
Yeah. It gives you power to take that control.
Yeah.
We love this stuff, so we could go on for days. But if you want us to do another video that goes into the hierarchy and health or the hierarchy and marriage, let us know in the comments. Remember to click the link to find more financial health videos, and don't forget to like and subscribe too. We're super excited to see you in the next video.
You guys are awesome.
Bye.